This happened almost 10 years ago. What happened didn't change my life. It didn't scar me. It didn't turn into a phobia. It didn't haunt me in my dreams. At least, not directly. Though I did start feeling uneasy around windows in private houses at night, especially when the light is on inside. It was just something that happened. Something that stayed in my memory, fading with time, losing its sharpness, but never fully disappearing. I know it will never happen to me again, because it wasn't meant for me. I was only there, an unwilling, but fully conscious witness. After a party, I stayed the night at my friend Rachel's house. We got back around 3 in the morning, tired, cold, almost sober after wandering the empty city for hours. Our town was small. After 11, public transport stopped running, and we didn't have money for a taxi. Teenagers from poor families rarely do. Rachel lived in a neighborhood of private houses. It had a bad reputation. People called it the Gypsy District. Romani families actually lived there. They sold drugs, stolen goods. They kept to themselves. Addicts weren't rare, but they were quiet, careful. They didn't bother the locals, probably because they were afraid. It was the end of February. The cold gnawed at our faces, sharp and dry. When we reached her house, snow started falling, thick, heavy, muffling the world. Still, we talked quietly, about nothing important. Rachel's parents weren't home. Both worked night shifts. Her father was a security guard. Her mother worked at a factory. Rachel was almost 2 years older than me. She was used to being alone at night. She knew the neighbors. Besides, the house was surrounded by a tall fence, nearly 2 meters high, with a heavy iron gate. Inside it was warm, bright, ordinary. Rachel put the kettle on. We sat at the kitchen table, eating bread with jam, drinking hot tea. Every now and then, we glanced out the window into the yard. Snow was falling harder now, covering ground that had only recently been bare. It felt cozy, safe, almost unreal. Soon, we got sleepy. We lay down together in the living room on an old fold-out couch, each of us wrapped tightly in a blanket. Before bed, Rachel put a cassette into the tape player. Calm music filled the room, slow voices layered together, something like a church choir. I joked that it made me picture white sheep dancing in circles on a green field, singing along. We laughed quietly. Rachel yawned and got up to turn the tape off. The player stood at the far end of the room, right next to the window. When the music stopped, the silence felt too deep. For some reason, the choir kept echoing in my ears. I turned toward the wall, ready to sleep. Then I heard a sound outside, a rustling, soft, persistent, like thick plastic being dragged back and forth. I froze. "What's that?" I whispered. "The plastic on the window," Rachel answered. Her voice was tight. "Wind?" I suggested. "I checked it this morning," she said. It was pinned to the frame. Wind wouldn't tear it loose. The sound didn't stop. I sat up and stared at the window across from the couch. The glass was covered from the outside with dense plastic sheeting, cloudy, opaque, barely letting light through. But in the dull yellow glow of the street lamp, I could make out a shape, a human silhouette, standing right outside the window. It was pulling at the loose corner of the plastic, not sharply, not angrily, slowly, methodically, as if testing it. I dropped back down. "There's someone there," Rachel whispered. "Isn't there?" "Yes," I breathed. Fear didn't strike all at once. It spread slowly, like cold water filling my chest. I was afraid to move, afraid to breathe too loudly. What do we do? There was no phone in the house. Mobile phones were a luxury back then. Screaming was useless. Thick walls, a stone fence. Running meant opening the front door, giving whoever it was a chance to get inside. And the windows were only a few meters from the fence. A burglar, I told myself. But burglars hurry. The rustling stopped. I sat up again. The silhouette was still there. Then I heard a faint metallic sound, something being dragged across the ground. Short, heavy, muted by fresh snow. A ladder. Rachel sat up sharply. "How did they know we're alone?" she whispered. "They followed us," I said. But no one followed us. She was right. The street had been empty. The ladder scraped closer, then leaned against the wall beneath the window. The silhouette disappeared. Then it rose halfway up, into the light. It leaned forward, looked inside, then climbed down, then pulled the plastic aside again, peering through the exposed glass. "He's watching," I whispered. "He's looking for something." "What will he do when he gets in?" Rachel asked. "Kill us," I said. We waited. I slid off the couch and backed towards the kitchen. "Don't leave me," Rachel whispered. "I'm getting a knife." He didn't react. He kept repeating the same movements, over and over, mechanical. Wrong. I grabbed a knife. On the way back, I picked up a small stool. When I returned, the silhouette was gone. "Did he leave?" I whispered. Then I saw it again. Farther from the window now. Its hands moved strangely, fidgeting with something unseen. "The window isn't locked," Rachel whispered suddenly. "The latch is broken." A chill ran down my spine. I stood between the two windows, stool in one hand, knife in the other. My reflection in the glass looked absurd, fragile. Something inside me snapped. I laughed quietly. "Are you crazy?" Rachel hissed. But the fear was gone. We watched him. He paced, climbed the ladder, pulled the plastic, looked inside. Again, and again, and again. He never touched the glass, never tested the window, never made a sound. No footsteps, no breathing, not even the crunch of snow. Rachel whispered that maybe he was high. That's when I leaned forward. I pressed my face to the glass and met him. There was no face, no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just smooth skin stretched over an oval skull. Too even, too empty. And yet I knew, with sick certainty, that it was looking at me. Its head tilted slightly, not like a person, like something imitating curiosity. It wore ordinary clothes, a cheap coat, a knitted hat. That made it worse. I stumbled back, dropping the stool and knife. "Emily!" Rachel cried. "Go," I whispered. "Pray." We hid in the other room, silent. That's when I understood. It wasn't trying to break in. It didn't need to. It was waiting. Waiting for someone to appear in the window. Waiting for the right one. We waited for dawn. When the light came, it was gone. No sound. No tracks. Nothing. Only the ladder remained. Weeks later, Rachel said it came back. Her father went outside, found nothing. Soon after I moved away, we lost contact. Years later, I asked about her. I won't share the details. But her life fell apart, as if something had finally found what it was looking for.